being materialistic is often not easy.
I'm Foulmouth. F you, motherfucker. Shit. Quack.
Howdy there, Marty here, and we're back in this video with, yes, another book video, because that's what I'm going to be doing right now, and that's what I'm excited about. So that's what I am going to talk about and make videos about. We're going to do a little bit of a book haul, some stuff that I've picked up over the last couple months, and talk a little bit about what I'm going to be reading in November. Let's get right into it. So quickly, talking about a couple of the books that I've actually already read, that if you watch my last video, which please go back and watch it once you're done watching this one, if you watch this one. A couple of Stephen King books that I picked up, Pet Sematary, The Body. Really enjoyed both, especially Pet Sematary. Highly disturbing book, really enjoyed it, but yeah, I picked this book up because I really just wanted to check out a Stephen King book finally. And then I got The Body as a follow-up because I liked Pet Sematary so much. I love the movie Stand By Me, and I wanted an easy read to just kind of get through. So I picked up both those books somewhat recently, a couple weeks ago I think it would have been, or maybe 2 weeks ago for Pet Sematary, a week ago for The Body, but yeah, anyhow. I really like the style of these like Scribner paperbacks. In particular, I really like the art here on Pet Sematary. Just a cool addition. Physically, love the hand. These books have wonderful hand. Really enjoyed both, especially Pet Sematary. Moving on. And then again, a couple books that I've already read. I talked about them both in the last video, but I did pick these up both somewhat recently, The Metamorphosis and The Masque of the Red Death, which is a collection of several Edgar Allan Poe short stories. Really enjoyed The Metamorphosis. Didn't read the other 2 stories that are in this book, but I absolutely fell in love with The Fall of House Usher in the Poe book. So yeah, really like both. They're in the Penguin Classic Cloth editions. Obviously, the colors are super striking, very vibrant in person and both on camera as well. Really sick artwork on these. I know there are some conflicting feelings on these editions of like classic books. In this form factor, I thought it was pretty good. Not really my favorite reading experience, to be totally honest with you. The way they're bound really tight in here. The text is pretty dense in here. It's not terrible, it's certainly readable. Wasn't quite my favorite reading experience physically, but they're super cute little editions. I don't think I'm going to be buying any of the bigger ones moving forward, but in terms of the little books, I don't know, I think they're pretty neat, so I do like them. Don't regret these at all, and they're fairly inexpensive, so yeah, not a bad option. So I picked both those up. Next up, I really fell in love with a lot of the Folio Society books. Really nice hardcover cloth-bound editions. I found this really nice copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. Comes with a slipcase, and in particular, I really like when they do the slipcases with sort of this cutout, this like arching cutout. I think that's like a really nice touch. It looks like a lot of their current volumes, they're not really doing that, so it's slightly disappointing. And their actual slipcases, they're not doing really cool art or anything to go with them. But this one's really nice, sort of this like burnt orange, I guess is how I would describe the color. I got this at a local half-price books for a fairly nice price. A really nice edition of To Kill a Mockingbird, which I owe a reread. I haven't read it since high school. But yeah, this one does actually have a little bit of art in there as well throughout the story. Just some nice pen and ink drawings. Don't know if that's focusing great. Folio Society, I'm really digging their editions. I have a few now, so we'll talk about one more, I think, or no, 2 more in this video. Next up, another Folio edition. Like I said, really fell in love with their designs. This one also has that kind of arching cutout to the slipcase, which I think is a nice touch. This is, of course, I don't know if that's going to focus, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. In my last video, I did talk about doing a read on A Christmas Carol. I read the Alan Rickman edition, so it's absolutely massive for A Christmas Carol. But you get this really nice cover. Once again, this one's not really so much a cloth bound. Maybe it is like technically. It does have the cloth texture, but it's like a painted cloth is almost what it's like. It almost has like sort of a tarp. It almost feels like a really high quality tarp. That's exactly the description I'm sure Folio Society is looking for with this sort of book. Once again, really nice gold lettering on the spine and on the front. Nice little image there in the snow. This one, I don't recall what I ended up paying for it. Probably a little bit more than I would have wanted, given that it was technically a rebuy. But the other one I got for such a good deal, and I just really wanted the nice folio edition. It's like very like archival. This looks like, you know, you could put it on your shelf and admire until you're 70 and then pass it on to your family. Really beautiful art in here. So really, really cool edition. It does have some pen and ink art in there as well. Pretty happy about that pickup as well. Next one, see, this one's also folio, and it's kind of boring. Let's be real here, like just a black, perfectly rectangular slipcase, so nothing special here. But yes, this is of course for Blood Meridian. It's probably trying to find my eye still back there. The slipcase is nothing to write home about. It's cool that it's there. I still love having it, of course, but I will say the actual book is quite well done. Yeah, the reading experience is quite nice once again. This one is more, it's more like, it's a hardcover clearly, but I wouldn't quite describe it as cloth, but I don't know. I'm not certainly not professional with that. Nothing really super great there either with like sort of the end, I don't know if they're technically the end papers, but yeah, the interior there. You get some nice art here on that title page in black and white, and then you do have some full color illustrations in the actual book. Absolutely ended up loving this book, but it's a horrible book. It's content-wise, obviously the book is horrible if you know anything about Blood Meridian. I mean, it's very well known for its brutality, and it is brutal. For the most part, the brutality in the story isn't frivolous though, but it's a lot, and it is very awful. Like the actual actions of the book are, in fact, quite horrible. So if you haven't read Blood Meridian, it's a hard book to recommend on a lot of levels. It is a very challenging book, both in terms of its language and the content. I think if you are willing to put in the work, it's quite worth it. But maybe it's better to warm up with something like All the Pretty Horses or The Road or No Country for Old Men or something like that. But absolutely beautiful edition from Folio Society, so super stoked on that. So next up, following Blood Meridian from Cormac McCarthy, I did pick up All the Pretty Horses, The Crossing, and Cities of the Plain. These are in the, well, these ones, oh, interesting. I just realized I had waited kind of long to get this in after I bought it. It's not the edition I thought it was. That's actually a little annoying. So this one's actually from Vintage, which I actually preferred the Vintage versions, at least of the current printings of this book, the series, the trilogy. But I picked up All the Pretty Horses from the used bookstore, and it's from Picador, which I actually don't like this edition quite as much, because I don't like, there's like the no art thing, and it's like this glossy. I just know the spine is going to get absolutely ruined when I actually read this. Well, I mean, not absolutely ruined, but you know. And I don't really like the glossy as much as I like the matte finish. And I just realized, because I bought this one thinking that it was going to match, but I didn't really think it, because it took weeks for this one to come in. So it doesn't match. Actually, I find it to be horribly annoying. Because the only reason why I would have even done that was just like, oh, gotta get the matching ones. And then now I have the, do I rebuy this in a matching set? I don't know. Because I was also thinking, well, if I absolutely love it, I'll get the folio edition of All the Pretty Horses. Being materialistic is often not easy. Moving on. Next up, looks like a similar book, doesn't it? And done in the similar Western novel style is how I would describe that. This is True Grit by Charles Portis. This was another book that I picked up at the used bookstore when I was looking for something else, but I felt like you know, I like, and this used bookstore wasn't even like half-price books. It wasn't a chain. It's like a bookstore of one. So like very much a mom and pop used bookstore. And I just didn't want to like leave without giving the guy something. It wasn't very expensive. Once again, I think this one was like between $4 and $6. But yeah, I was actually looking for a copy. Well, I think at the time I got this. I can't remember if I was looking for a copy of The Road or if I was looking for a paperback copy of Blood Meridian to annotate. I don't remember now. I've heard mixed reviews in terms of the book. I generally hear positive, so I don't necessarily expect to love it, but I do actually expect to like it, because I think the shortcomings that people have with it won't actually bother me. So yeah, I'll read it at some point. It's like super thin. Once again though, it's another one of the, it's like a glossy floppy, so the reading experience I'm sure will be okay, but I do prefer the more modern style paperbacks that are matte finishes. So yeah, but anyhow, True Grit. That all leads me into what I'm going to consider to be the last book of the haul proper, which is actually the big book I plan to read this month. I believe I should be starting it hopefully by the, I guess probably by the end of this week. Today is actually November 3rd. So by the end of this week, hopefully I will start this book. And it's kind of a monster. Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. It's a massive tome. This is a big Western epic. This is a honkin' book. Honkin'. I've heard it's really good, and I trust that. This edition of the book is over 835 pages. What printing did I end up getting? This is the third printing. So that's neat. Hardcover, of course. I've never actually seen the movie. I believe it was a made-for-TV movie or miniseries. I do have quite a decent Western DVD collection. I might own a copy of Lonesome Dove, but I certainly have never watched it. I don't really know a whole lot about it beyond the fact that I believe it is really about a sort of a wagon, not a wagon train, but a cattle train? Cattle train? They're moving cattle from probably Texas, I assume, down south up to Montana, I believe. And I think it's just sort of the story of that. It's a drama. I believe it has a little bit of everything in it. And yeah, so I'm really excited to read it. This one's going to probably be like the big project book of the month, so I don't know how much more I'm going to get through. But that does kind of lead me into something else that I do have a couple books that I am reading kind of this week to sort of finish up some things I wanted to get through, which is actually The Road by Cormac McCarthy and Fahrenheit 451 from Ray Bradbury. This is a reread. I'm really only like a sixth of the way into this book. I'm a little about 2/3, I think, into The Road, which I've not read. The Road, I was reading it last night, and I got to the point in this book, you pretty much know something horrible is going to happen. And it was like, you know what? I knew I wouldn't be able to finish the book last night, and I didn't want to get stuck in that situation where you get to the horrible stuff, but then you can't just get through it. And I didn't want to like sleep on that. And so I switched over to a reread on Fahrenheit 451, which I'm not exactly certain like it's like the best jump for levity going from The Road to Fahrenheit 451. But to be honest, compared to The Road and what I expect from The Road and the way it was making me feel, like this is this is kind of easy in terms of like emotionally. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously it's a classic for a reason. Very important book societally, if that's a word. In The Road. So I'm going to get through those two books this week, and then really I'm going to dive in with Lonesome Dove. So that's my plan really for this month in November. The only other thing I really want to read in November is The Hobbit, because The Hobbit would sort of complete my quartet of favorite books of all time that I wanted to reread, just to kind of like establish my feelings or reestablish my feelings on those books. So that is my plan moving forward in November. And I think that's pretty much going to do it for this one. Thanks for checking out my video. Please check out my last video if you haven't. I'm really excited to be reading and making new videos again. And yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this one. So if you'll do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Like I always say, or I always said, it makes me feel like I accomplished something. But otherwise, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye.